Hello, and welcome to Ernie Ball's Striking a Chord podcast. I'm Evan Ball. Today, I'll be speaking with System of a Down bassist Shavo Odadjian. In this conversation with Shavo Odadjian, we speak about his move to the U.S. from Armenia as a kid, the founding and early days of System of a Down, their live plans for next year, and the unique band dynamic of sort of cordoning off the recording aspect of the band while continuing to tour together and maintain strong friendships, and dealing with the public obsession with a new System record. Shavo also discusses the albums that have had the greatest impact on him and his new band, Kingsley. They've been busy writing lots of material and have begun releasing some of the songs. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Shavo Odadjian. Shavo Odadjian, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, our pleasure. All right, I have a quick series of true or false questions for you.
Bring it.
True or false, one of the reasons you're called System of a Down instead of Victims of a Down is so your CDs would be closer to Slayer's CDs and record stores.
That's not why, but because when we did change the System, I realized that, hey, it's even better here because now we're next to Slayer.
Okay, so an added bonus.
It was an added bonus. It was the real reason was because I didn't want to be, because I thought if we ever got big, Victims of a Down would be known as Victim. And I was like, I never want to be called Victim. Like, right now they go System at the shows, right?
Right.
Would I want to be called Victim? Victim? Not so much.
Oh, good foresight. All right. True or false, you were standing next to Arnold Schwarzenegger in AC/DC's Big Gun video.
Big ass true. Big true.
How did that come about?
That's me. It was the college days, and one kid that I was friends with worked at Kinko's. And Kinko's, you know Kinko's? Yeah. So
Copies.
I don't know if it's still around. Yeah, Copies. And I guess AC/DC's management was making the little passes for the Big Gun video shoot for all the fans to come and be in the audience, shoot the video. It was at the Van Nuys Airport. They were shooting. So he goes, yeah, man, I made some extra copies so we can all go, right? So I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. Now it's like 10 of us. We all went to the airport and we're like in the group of people. There was like at least 1,000 people, 800 people. And we were in that crew, and then they rushed us into a hangar, and there was this big ass cannon and a stage set up. We're like, fuck yeah, AC/DC. And then all of a sudden they bring Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, what the fuck? Fuck it. And then I just made a joke. I was like, here, put him here, where I was standing, and I just kind of was loud.
Yeah. They
brought him right next to me.
No way.
Yeah, so there I am next to Arnold, and I'm kind of cracking jokes to him and shit. And it was hilarious. And he's looking back and who's this kid? And then when they shot the scenes, the light from the on stage hit me more than it hit him. So I'm glowing next to Arnold. It's like there's two of us in the scene instead of him and a bunch of kids. It's him and I and a bunch of kids. So it's kind of funny, man.
That's funny.
Like, yeah, when that came out, people tripped out. They kept calling me, oh, man, did I just see you in the new AC/DC video?
Well, I was wondering, out of a sea of people, how did you get right there? But it sounds like you kind of lobbied for the position.
I did a little bit, but I didn't think it would work. It was a joke, like, hey, come here. Yeah, look, it's going to work. And it really worked. I was like, oh, shit. This shit, they really, like, they must have heard me, or it was a coincidence. I don't know, man.
Oh, that's cool.
Right place at the right time. That's what it was.
All right, true or false, Chop Suey has almost 1 billion views on YouTube.
It had that a while back. This is the second time it's going to 1 billion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, there's only so many videos that make that mark.
Turned 1 billion. I remember when it was turning 1 billion a while back. They were like, and then I think something happened to that one. Yeah, old news. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I always like to get a guest's history on this show, and then we can talk about what you're doing now, which I know includes a new project called Kingsley. Looking forward to that. But first, when did you start playing guitar or bass?
I started when I was about 12, 13. My grandma bought me a Kramer XL2 back in the day, and it became my best friend.
So your grandma, did you ask for it, or something she just thought, oh, I bet Shavo would be a good guitar player?
No. I've been a fan of music since I was born. It's kind of been in me from Armenia. They've been listening to music, and they always had music around, and they had all the old Beatles records, all in like Russian print and stuff. So I listened to music for a long time. Boney M, Afric Simon, Alba, a bunch of other artists that we had in Armenia. And then when we got to America when I was 5 years old in '79, I saw Kiss on Solid Gold, and then I would see like Kiss murals all over LA. And funny enough, I lived on North Kingsley Drive. That's where the name comes from, by the way. So yeah, so I saw Kiss, and I was just a fan of it. I was just taken by it, And so I always wanted a musical instrument. I've been asking my parents for years. After that, just started asking every year, every day, and they just wouldn't do it for me. I think it was the old Armenian mentality of like, if you're an artist, you're going to be a starving artist. So they didn't want that for me. They wanted me to go to school, study, become a lawyer or whatever, a doctor, the way the old customs are. But because I was relentless, I kept on asking. I never let it go. My grandma just said, let's get this kid a freaking guitar. Right. So she on the side kind of like got it for me, didn't really tell anybody that she did that. And once it was already at my house, it was at my house, right? So I'm not going to give it back. And with a little practice amp, and I put it up in my room, and I just went at it. And actually, a funny story is they had this guy, one of my dad's uncle or something, my dad's cousin. He was a flamenco guitar player, like all professional, and he was supposed to give me lessons. And second lesson in, he was already like teaching me, like, say, the third chord, and I was already like sixth chord. I was like I had already gotten like this chord book, and I was already all over it, So he was teaching me things I already knew. It was just been 2 weeks, and I kind of surpassed that, and I didn't take lessons anymore. It was 2 lessons, and that's it. And after that,
you were so self-motivated, you probably didn't need it.
That's what it was, bro. I love doing it so much. That's the thing, bro. If you love doing something in your life, you're going to do it good, right?
Exactly.
So that's what it was, bro. I just did it. I stayed home. I also skateboarded at the time. It was like skateboarding and guitar. That was my life.
Yeah. Well, let me back up real quick. So I know you were born in Armenia, which was part of the Soviet Union back then, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
You said you were 5. Do you speak Armenian?
Yes, I do, fluently.
Okay. Very cool. And then do you write it and read it too? I know it has its own alphabet.
It does. We actually have 37 letters. It's crazy. My parents sent me to an Armenian private school for the first 10 years of my life. So I learned to read and write. They just wanted me to keep my culture,
Yeah.
And it was the best thing that they could have done, man. At the time, I was pissed off. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to go to regular school with the kids on my street, you know what I mean, in Hollywood. But, in the long run, when you look back, it's like the best thing they could have done. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It gave me an identity. It gave me some like culture, all sorts of good stuff.
So you already spoke it though before going to school because you spoke it as a kid, right?
Exactly. And but my mom was a language major. So she knew a bunch of languages, like 5-6 languages. So she knew we were going to come to America. This was all planned, of course, because it wasn't just me and my mom and dad who came. It was like, I don't know, like cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone just kind of
really okay
30 people and like moved together as a like a team, a group of people. So I kind of knew English too a little bit, like just like words and like phrases and stuff. So it wasn't like I came here and I was like nothing, but it was kind of hard, man. It was kind of hard. Actually, I didn't right away go to Armenian school. My kindergarten, I went to a public kindergarten in Hollywood called Ramona Elementary. And there it was a culture shock. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I've never been away from my folks.
Yeah.
So I kind of had like separation anxiety. I just remember crying a lot and not wanting them to leave me there. And, there was a bunch of different cultures and races and stuff. And so it was a big culture shock.
Yeah, you're 5 years old. Yeah.
5 years old. And now all of a sudden I have to be like, go to school. I never went to school in Armenia.
Hey, I'm curious. So Serge and John, singer, drummer of System of a Down, I know they were born in Beirut. Was it kind of a diaspora community where they also spoke Armenian?
We all spoke Armenian.
Okay.
They're born in Lebanon, but they're Armenian. They're just, after the genocide, in 1915, majority of the Armenians scattered across the world. So hence we have Armenians from all over the place. Like we have Iraqi Armenians, Lebanese.
Right. So they were still in a community in Beirut, right?
Yeah, they were in an Armenian community in Beirut. A lot of people came to America. A lot of people went to the UK. Originally, when we moved to America, we moved to New York. And I lived in Queens for a few months. We were going to just stay there. So my life was going to be totally different. But my dad's side decided to move to West Coast while my mom's wanted to stay on the East Coast. But my mom decided to, of course, move with my dad and my dad's side so I can have a family and a dad and stuff, you know what I mean? A father. So because of that one move, I became an LA kid and grew up on North Kingsley and saw skateboarding and saw, music and chose that as my life. I could have gone completely different.
Was it an Armenian neighborhood?
Okay. At the moment, North Kingsley is in, it's funny because they call it Little Armenian now. And at the time, that's not what it was. It was just a neighborhood in LA. There was people didn't know what an Armenian was, you know what I mean? An Armenian was like this exotic like race, what's an Armenian? Is it Albanian? Is it Romanian? It was like anything with the IAN, they just put it all together. Well, after I think System, we kind of like opened the world up to more Armenians, and Armenians started like speaking more and being more like.
Yeah, that's amazing. You guys became such strong cultural ambassadors.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all you guys went to that same Armenian school, right? Where curriculum was taught bilingually?
Yeah, 3 of us did. Darren, Serge, and I.
Did you know each other while you were in high school? Or actually, was this high school? I don't know how many grades it went to.
It goes 12 grades. Well, okay, we knew of each other, but we weren't friends. Like we weren't buddies. We were. Serge was many years above Darren and I, and Darren was 1 year younger than me. So he was like, if I was in 6th grade, he was in 5th grade. But Serge was like 5-6 years, maybe more ahead of us.
So they have like a picture of you guys in the cafeteria?
That would be funny, right? That'd be great.
All right. So moving forward to music. So initially, Darren and Serge are in a band together called Soil, and you became the band manager, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Okay.
It was more like, okay, so I used to always like try myself out. This is when I moved to the bass. I was a guitar player for the first 12 to like 17, 5-6 years of my life of music. I was a guitar player. But as I got better and I wanted to start bands, the bass players were either one of two. One was like they were either trying to be virtuosos, like a Les Claypool, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or they just weren't picking the bass up. They weren't like meat and potatoes. I always saw bass player as like the rock, the steady, the keep the groove. You don't have to battle the guitar player. You have to do what you do, so the guitar player has this open place to do whatever they do, and so both of you can shine.
Right, right.
What I started seeing was a lot of people in competition with the guitar player. Bass players had like this chip on their shoulder going, well, since I'm the bass and I'm behind, I have to do more, which is the wrong way to go, right? So I kind of at some point decided I'm going to have to do this. So I traded in I had a Randall half stack, the big dime bag amp, which I swore by. Had the greatest crunch, greatest sound. I traded that in for an Ibanez bass at Guitar Center, and when I was like 17, 18. And my new thing started, and I bought this like off the recycler, which was this, I don't know if it's still around. It was like a Craigslist, but in print, not online. And I bought this PV amp, which soon became an Ampeg. Anyway, so I practiced, and I kind of took what I had from the guitar and with the mentality that I thought that the bass player should do in my own head, whatever that was. I kind of did that. And I found some bands to play with and jam with. So I'm just leading out to how I even re-met these guys. So I was in Burbank at a studio down in like the off-ramp of the 5 freeway. I rehearsed with this band called Roswell. In that complex, an old friend of mine was also jamming. He had this band. It was like an 80s vibe like band. And he was like, I have this guitar player coming in. Stick around. I want to hear what you have to say about this person, right? And I was like, okay, sure. He wanted my opinion because, we played together. He liked my suggestions, my opinions. In walks Darren. And I'm like, I remember this kid from somewhere, He's like, he went to school with us. And people, oh, wow, okay. So, he put his guitar on, and they jammed like songs like Ain't Talking About Love and like Rush and all these, like they did covers, right? And I was like, dude, this kid jammed the guitar and sang. He sang too. I was like, seriously? Actually, he was going to come in, I think, to be a singer. I think they were trying him out as a singer.
Okay.
So rewind, yeah. As a singer, but he also played guitar. They had 2 guitar players, right? One was the guy's brother, and one was this other strange guy that I guess was in for maybe a couple of weeks or months. And my suggestion at the end of the night was, I go, Dave, dude, watch. This guy is so badass. I said, you should hold on to him as a singer and as a guitar player. Get rid of that one guy because he doesn't fit in the band. And I go, it could be a great unit without having an extra member, so you'll still be 4 members,
Yeah.
but the singer will play guitar and it'll be awesome. So that's what happened. That's what they did. Eventually that band broke up, and the bass player, my friend Darren, and Serge was in another band playing in the same complex. So I say now it's 3 units mixing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they got Serge to sing for this new unit they started called Soil. And their music was coming out with the drummer. It was this Hawaiian kid drumming. It was really badass drummer. He had these like huge, his drum set was huge. Like the toms were huge. The kit was huge. Like this big ass thing, he would hide behind it, A lot of cymbals, you know what I mean? Like cymbal crasher, you know what I mean? But the dude knew how to write songs. So I think he developed also Darren's songwriting. They were writing songs, and I would play with my band, and then I would run in their place and I would hang out with them when we took breaks, because these are my old friends. They became friends more, We got closer and closer and closer. And as we bonded, there was no room for me to join the band. So it was like, you talk well, you know things, why don't you be our manager? I'm like, fuck, I'm down, I'll do that. And so that's what it was going to be. I was going to be there.
Okay.
So that's how it started. So they got one gig at a club called Fei Do Do. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I was there, of course, like trying to get it all ready and stuff. And then after that, I was going to get him gigs. I even found my way to Zach De La Roca's house from Rage Against the Machine. I was seeing this girl at the time, like a friend, who told me, yeah, in this area of LA, Silver Lake, I think it was, or Atwater or something, Zach's there from Rage, and he does parties every Friday. You should go to the party. And he has bands play. You could get your band to play at his house. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, let's do this. So I even showed up with Serge.
So Rage is already fairly big at this point, right?
I think so. I'm not, it was
early
so
90s.
I don't think it was early. Yeah. They were like, it was like 90. It was probably like 93, 94. I didn't get a hold of Zach. I was at his house. We made it to his house. I got his address somehow. I don't know what happened. We got there and it was like a regular party, $5 to get in. And I saw Stanford Prison Experiment there. I discovered that. I was like, whoa, the great band. They're out now again. They're back. Stanford Prison Experiment. Amazing. And I saw Tom Morello and I kind of talked to him. I was like, hey man, he didn't know who I was, nothing. I introduced myself. I was like, I got this band. I want them to play here. What do I do? He was like, talk to Zach. I just never got a chance to talk to Zach, but I was going to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Around the same time, I get a call from the bass player at maybe a couple of weeks after. He's like, he was not in a great place. He was like, I'm not going to play in Soil anymore. I think they want you to play bass for them. And I'm like, what are you saying? I was like, it's like saying I'm not with my girlfriend anymore, but my girlfriend wants you, And I'm like, fuck,
right.
I'm not doing that. Are you crazy? I'm not going to do that, dude. That's forbidden shit. You know what I mean? So anyways, I just kind of blew it off. He hits me back. He's like, bro, listen, you do bond really well with these guys. I don't want to do it. If anyone's going to do it, you should do it because you're already managing them. Why not? You know what I mean? You should do it. You have my blessing. I'm like, fuck, bro, you're making this hard for me. But it was becoming easier to listen to, And then all of a sudden Darren hits me up, and Darren we never really talked outside of in the studio with them, Yeah. All of a sudden he hits me up. He's like, yo, man, I want you to come to Serge's house. I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, oh, here it is. So I go and they say, hey, man, we have good news and bad news. I'm like, what? He goes, good news is I want you to play play bass in Soil and stuff. Bad news is our drummer just left. I'm like, wait a second. I thought your bass player's name was yeah, the drummer just left too. He's having a baby. He went to Hawaii. He has to move back to Hawaii. So, but anyway, we could develop together. I said, okay, cool, man. I think this is better because now we get to develop together. It's not like I'm taking the place of someone, And as we talked and shared ideas, we thought it was better to just break that band up, so not be Soil anymore, and start something fresh with new music. And with a new breath, with new me, find a new drummer. And that's when System was born.
Gotcha. Okay. So you joined, the plan was to join Soil, but officially you joined at the very inception of System of a Down.
We incepted. Yeah. We made that happen. It was part of what we did together. It wasn't, I was going to join Soil, but Soil broke up.
And you guys ditched the old songs, the Soil songs.
We ditched the arrangement of the old songs. We actually used, we have a song called Soil. The riff in Soil is a riff that was in the band Soil. So we use that riff. For example, the song Sugar, the ending of Sugar, was a middle part of a Soil song. And I wrote that the riff for Sugar, the don 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 don. I did that, and then I thought of how rad would it be if this like little jazz part happened, and that part came in, and that's how Sugar was born. So we used little parts here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
But we didn't like use the arrangement or anything. But that was only for the first record.
Yeah. So mid 90s. I assume this is like mid 90s when you guys start.
It's around 94, 95 now. 95.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I know there's a lot of new things happening in metal and heavier music. As kind of a historical marker, I always think of Deftones' Adrenaline coming out in 95, just as a marker in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's roughly where we're talking about. Not that you guys sound like them, but just to point out that it was a time when metal was kind of branching out. And I don't know, did you guys feel change in the air during this era?
Yeah, see, there's another thing. So I also took on the role of management, right, for the new band System. So I just had to like know what was going on out there. So it was hard for us to get a gig. So once we had a drummer, once we kind of rehearsed and wrote songs. So now let's fast forward. We have like about 6 to 8 songs. And we're like, okay, now we could play live. I started calling clubs. I wasn't familiar with the LA scene, but what was going on in the LA scene was everything was going on. I mean, the shit was popping at that point.
Yeah.
People, it was a Korn, Deftones. There was bands like Manhole and Human Waste Project and Mind Heavy Mustard and so many Cold Chamber, Suffer, all these bands that were like Static. Like Static came a little after, but so all these bands were coming out and like playing, and I started going to shows, just to see where we were going to belong. How are we going to do shows? I have to know the climate,
Yeah.
So I started going to the Roxy, it was Gazzari's for a second. It was Roxy, Whiskey, all those. So I started calling the clubs up to get a show, and they wouldn't give me a show because we don't have a demo. We didn't have enough money to make a demo at the time. It wasn't like now,
right,
where you have a computer and you can make it. You can make a demo on your phone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard. It was like a catch-22. We didn't have money to make to get a demo. We didn't have enough demo to get a show. So which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So I just kind of like bombarded. I was working at a bank at the time also. So I would do phone calls I was doing wire transfers. I was answering calls for wire transfers for a specific bank. And between every call, I said the story before, between every call, I would call the Roxy or the Whiskey or someone. And I was like, yo, we're the Span System of Down. Yeah, you called a second ago. I know, bro. I'm going to keep calling. But you don't have a demo. Yeah, I know I don't have a demo, but I need a show. Click. Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah. Okay.
So was your boss supportive?
He didn't know, bro. It was on the headphones, Yeah. It was like I had the things going on in the headpiece, But he was supportive because he knew I was in a band and he knew that's what I was going to do. And he always used to he was this very eccentric dude, the boss of that area, that department. So he was really cool with me. So I was someone that was like, not a bad seed, so I was doing well. So if he did know, he let me go do it. So he was very supportive.
Yeah.
So eventually I got the main guy from the Roxy, who ended up being our tour manager on our first tour, the guy that would hang up on me the most. He gave me a phone number of a promoter, Brian Markovich, that was his name. And I called the dude up. He's like, listen, can you sell tickets? I'm like, yeah, of course we could sell tickets. And we had friends and stuff that were already supporting us. They would come to our practice and they would watch us rehearse. And we'd have like 20, 30 people come out and play. We would play to them like a show, but at our warehouse area, in North Hollywood. So finally, he gave me 75 tickets to sell. And it was May 28th, 1995. That was our first show. And we sold over 140, 150 tickets, bro. We had to go back and ask for more tickets.
Yeah. So is this support of friends, or are you already getting a following from word of mouth?
Friends and friends of friends. And the fact that we were Armenian and there was no other, there were a couple of Armenian bands that came around before us, in the LA scene, but nothing like us. So it was like we had a lot of support. And remember, we had a lot of friends and we used to do this all the time. So everyone was just excited for us to do this so they can all go to a club and be happy and go crazy.
Yeah, sure.
So it was it was really support. We had a lot of support, bro. It was great. And since we didn't have a demo, he had no clue where to book us, how to bill us. So he put us on a ska night. It was 7 bands. We were one of 7 bands. It was 3 before us, 3 after us. We were right in the middle, sandwiched between checkers, black and white checkers.
Yeah.
And it was a quiet night. It was like a free night on a Tuesday, $3 to get in if you're under 21. Above 21, it's free. You could go drink. And it was 30, 40 people in the crowd during the first 3 bands. We get on and the 100 people show, 150 people. And They start a pit and it gets crazy. And we had this banner about the Armenian genocide. We made a statement. It was like political and shit. And it was like, what's going on here, dude? You know? And luckily there was a writer at the show from a local paper, Rock City News, who wrote about us that next day of publishing. Something came out, and Rock City would come out Thursdays, and this was a Tuesday. So he wrote last minute Wednesday, boom, made the paper saying something went down in LA this week, and I was a witness. And it was a band system, The Down, called us The Down. You know? Yeah. And it was like, people started noticing, like, whoa, he was like, and I still have the publication. So, man, I just took that and ran. And then I already booked that night of the first show. I booked the second show a month after at the Whiskey. And we sold the same amount of tickets. And then after that, we never had to sell tickets again.
Let's hop over to North Kingsley real quick.
Yes.
So if people haven't heard it, but they know System of a Down, how do you describe North Kingsley's music? It's
not like System of a Down's.
Right.
I don't have, I mean, there's the DNA of the riffs and stuff because I've written riffs for System, you know, as I said. So it's still me writing riffs, and I've really progressed throughout the years. You know, I think I'm a lot better at it. I know how to arrange better. I know, I'm like doing in North Kingsley what I saw Rick do to us. You know, I'm also producing it.
Yeah.
And I'm accompanied by two amazing people, Sorrow and Ray. Sorrow's the sickest producer. He keeps amazing me with his beats and his sounds and shit that he's doing.
Yeah. What's his background?
His background is he came in. Okay, look, I met him at my friend's studio, and I just was like intrigued by the fact that he knew how to run like Logic Pro so well. That's the program that's on the Macs, you know, to make music. Yeah. And I was like, man, teach me what you know. You know, he's like, fuck yeah, I'll teach you. And he was in this little side project, not side project, little band with Ray. And they had songs, and they were cool, politically charged and shit, like socially charged and aware. And I was like, that's good shit. But I had this other thing in mind, you know? And I was like, at that point, I was kind of frustrated. I wasn't finding people to make new music with. And I was like, I'm going to do this myself. I just got to learn the program and just do it, right? And as he came along to the studio once or twice, the second time, we already kind of wrote something together, like with his talent of like beat making. He comes from an old school of like production, you know? He's like...
Does he have a hip hop background?
Yeah, straight up hip hop, but a lot of Armenian vibes too. Like he samples old music that I don't even know exists, you know, like he takes it.
Right. A couple of your songs have that, right? Well, you've only released 3.
We've only released 3. You haven't heard nothing yet. Like we just released the basic 3 that like we wrote first. There's like so much more. And the reason why I'm breaking it up in 3s is because we're such a new act and people are used to from me hearing System. So I kind of wanted to give them food to digest,
ease into it
instead of dropping a whole record on you and then you're just like not knowing where to go with it. One thing that's similar to System, I think, the one thing that is like that if all 12 songs that we have at the moment were put into a record, it's like System where not one song sounds like the other, but they all fit this DNA of the band. It's like on our first album, we had a Sweet Pea, Peephole, Spiders. None of those songs make sense if you think it's the same band, but it is, right? That's what we do. We don't sound the same. None of the songs sound the same. But the formula is there. The band, you can know, you hear the vocals, you know it's the same band. You hear the sound of the drums, you know it's the same band. You hear the sound of the guitar and bass, you know it's that band. So it's like I'm creating something where it's original again. It's just a different genre, bro. I couldn't do what we did already. I don't want to do that. I can't do that. That happens when the 4 of us get together, System of a Down. I would never ever try to step on those toes, because that's big toes to step on, you know. I had to do what I'm natural at and what these guys are natural at. And it took 2 years to develop. It wasn't like we got together, boom, there was the first song, fucking Shotguns or whatever. It was more like we wrote beats and I played over beats, and then all of a sudden that developed into putting 2 together. And then vocals came in and we had to arrange because he was crazy. Like his vocals were like one long verse from the beginning of the song to the end of the song. Was like,
yeah, and the vocalist, is it Ray Hawthorne? Is that his name?
Ray Hawthorne, man. He's amazing. He's original, man. And I'm really lucky to have him, bro. I kind of helped him develop, just like, you know, I've been through this. This is not my first rodeo. And like, I've seen Rick Rubin mold Serge, you know what I mean? Serge's vocals, and like, cut this up, say more here, say less here. Kind of that inspiration I took, and I just naturally, it happened because I know when I hear something, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's break this down to a verse, a chorus, a middle part, another chorus. So it's like I have it in my head, the formula, and then I take what we make and then I kind of chop it up like that with the guys, of course. And eventually, in the last 2 years, we developed the formula where we all know where we stand and what we do. So it's like we go into the studio and it's like we bang it out. It's like I have a riff, I bring in, he already has a beat, I throw it over that beat, then we cut up the beat, then we have vocals come in. Maybe the vocals are already there, and I write a riff towards the vocal pattern. And so it's so fun. It's like, it's liberating, bro. It's liberating to do this again because I really loved writing music with System of a Down. I loved creating. I know Darren wrote a lot of music. Serge brought a lot of stuff in. I brought stuff in. That was so special, you know? And then it stopped. In 15 years ago, it stopped. And I miss it, man. I miss making music. I did this for a living, not to become famous. I did this just so I can keep on playing music, you know? And it sucks that after fame, we kind of stopped, you know? And so this was really, like I said, the word is liberating to like be able to make music again with people that I bond with.
Right.
And, you know, they're years younger than me, man. They're like in their 30, one's 30, one's 31. And it's like, I connect with them musically like we've always been doing this, you know? And that's a great feeling. And it's like, when you have that, you got to take it and run. So he's not even just a rapper. The guy, he raps because he's so badass at it. He's a singer really, but I didn't want to make it rap rock. You know, I didn't want to do that. But there's songs coming out where it's full singing with a little bit of hip hop, but we have a lot of angles. So I feel like there's a lot of places we could still go. So it's very interesting to me, exciting to me, because it's like, if you like what you've heard, I think you're going to love what you're about to hear. And then you're going to love even more what we're coming with, because we're building and it keeps getting better. Like we did one yesterday. There's a song where we're going to get a feature from one of my favorite hip hop groups, Cypress. You know, this is between us, between you and anyone else listening, between you and I. It was an older song that we had written. We just went in and like the way Sarah presented it to me last night, I was taken, man. It was like so badass that I can't wait to play that for B and have him drop his words on there. It's going to be amazing. So like there's things that are coming that is very exciting for me.
Do words come pretty easily to Ray?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he even like helps me, you know, I got 22 Red, my brand.
Yeah.
Canada brand. So we do like cool things. I love like putting messages inside like boxes and inside the t-shirts, like and the hoodies. Like if you wear it inside out, there's like words written in there. Like people don't even know until they start washing their stuff inside out. And they're like, oh shit, there was writing in there we didn't know about, right? Yeah. I love it like that. So he helped me write some of those phrases. He's just really good with words, man. It's like, I tell him a direction, I give him a direction, and he goes. Not to say he doesn't have direction himself. He's like all over, bro. He has songs for days. We can have 3 albums now if it was up to Ray. But
you're sort of corralling all the creative energy and putting it into the right format and arrangements. Right?
Yes. That's the thing I do away from writing the riffs and putting songs together. I'm also doing that and that's what they trust me. That's what we do. Like, listen, it takes the 3 of us to make what we do. I couldn't do that without them. You know what I mean? So since I have amazing things from them, I'm able to do that. I'm able to corral it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I said, man, it is a unit. It started off as a side project, but it's becoming something that I feel like could be something on its own without even using the Shavo System of a Down name. Like not trying to use the system name so much because, you know, people expect different things, and also using the system name. A lot of people, it's turned into a meme. This whole, like, where's the new album? You know, it's been 15 years. When I'm posting something political and you're asking me where the new album is, or if I'm posting something about the new band and you're saying, where's the new album? And, you know, it's like, that's not fun to hear. You know, if I can make a new album on my own with, you know, I would have.
Of course.
Stop reaming me with it. You know, we're sorry that we haven't come up with a new album for you guys. You know what I mean? I'm the guy. Let's go, bro. Let's get in that studio and make a record. We have music. It's just hasn't happened yet. So
probably stockpiles of music, I would think, between all of you.
imagine, right? And so I just wish it would happen. So I'm kind of at this point wishing it would happen so I wouldn't have anyone tell me anymore and ask me for it anymore. It's become a thorn in my side, you know. It's like, fuck, dude, stop ramming that in my side, you know, like stop shanking me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's what it feels like, man. As much as I adore it, I also like, it's like, fuck, man. Like I'm trying to do something new because I can't do the old thing because it takes more than one person to tango, right? So let me do what I can right now. And then if that comes around again to me, I'm going to take that and run, you know, but right now this is what's in front of me. So this is what I'm going to ride, you know?
That's great. You've got this outlet with people you're creatively compatible with, and
Bro,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, what part of LA is North Kingsley? I mean, you said you named it after
Yeah.
your street that you grew up on.
It's East Hollywood. It's I lived between Fountain and Sunset, and that's the perimeter is like Western and Vermont in the middle of that.
Okay.
So it's like Hollywood, east of Western, west of Vermont, right there, smack dab. That's where our old school was too, in that area. The Armenian school that we went to was in that area.
Okay.
So all the kids from the Armenian school that follow me on Instagram and stuff, like anyone that like still follows my ass and like, oh, that's Shavo from when we were kids. They're like, is that the North Kingsley you grew up on? I'm like, yeah, bro. That's what it is. It's like people
that's
trip
cool.
out. Yeah, some of my friends from the street have hit me up like, dude, that's our street's name. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Are you going to have a guitar on when you play live?
I am. This is going to be my guitar band. Yeah.
You have a guitar and then vocalist, obviously, and then is it Sorrow?
Sorrow, yes.
Sorrow. So he will basically be in charge of the beats, right? He'll the electronic component.
Electronic component, but we might take on 2 new members just for live. If I decide to play the bass on a song, I'm going to have him play the guitar. And if I decide to play the guitar on a song, he's going to play the bass. I also have a drummer in mind, who's a hip hop drummer, to come in just for live. It'll make it more exciting. But I don't want to take away that beat savvy that he has, that Sorrow has, that like element of like the low tones and the sounds. I don't want to change that. I don't want it to turn into new metal. Dude, that's what we're not doing. That's something we're way on another platform, But sometimes it's a thin line, because when you have a drummer and you have a rapper and you have guitar and bass, it turns to that. I don't want that. So we're still figuring that out. If we're just going to go the 3 of us and just kind of do programs and live, that might be the way to go.
Yeah. All right. So next year we should look out for you.
100%. Looking forward to the second they open the gates and say, go, we're running. We're
every venue in the country is going to be packed with every band ready to go.
That's what, if we could do all the venues at once, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? Like if we can teleport, and we would be doing that.
And then does System of a Down have any gigs lined up or tours?
Yeah, we do. We what we had last year, we have half of what we had last year. We kind of broke it down in half because of what's going on. So we have the 2 LA shows with Chord, Faith No More coming up in May. And then in June, we're doing Europe. We have, I think, 11 shows. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Such an interesting dynamic from the outside that you guys can still play all these shows together and sort of cordon off the recording new material part.
Sucks, right?
Well, it's cool that you guys can still do it and sort of section it off, I guess. Better than nothing. I
mean, dude, it's better than nothing. And beggars can't be choosers. I always say that. So, dude, I'll take whatever I can get because I love my units. I love System. I love the guys. They're my friends over anything. Even if I don't see them or talk to them for months, we're on the phone. We're best friends. Yeah, that's how I am with them. Nothing has gone down so terrible that we can never. That's why I'm always optimistic. And whenever I say that, it becomes headlines. Oh, Shavo's optimistic. Well, yeah, bro, I'm optimistic about a lot of things. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But the reason why I'm optimistic is because, dude, nothing's been done that can't be undone. It's not like someone said or did something that's end all. It's not like, God forbid, anyone's passed away. Nothing. We're still all here. We still can talk. We still could play. We're still alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude,
it's just such seems like a unique dynamic. I mean, the reason it's an issue, I'm sure, is because you guys all care so much.
Yes, 100%.
And so I could see it getting heated in certain environments, but it's admirable that everyone can remain friends and separate band biz from friendship.
If we can just agree, if people weren't so adamant about their views, it would be nice to just kind of back up a little and say, let's just do it and do it. I'll listen to you if you listen to me, instead of I think it should be this way. I think it should be that way. Okay, well then that's not going to work, because if you both, it's it should be, I don't know, man.
So is it band direction or more business of songwriting credit, or, plead the fifth if you want. I'm
going to plead the fifth.
Okay.
Here, I'll tell you, it's a mixture of a lot of stuff that's happened. And it's just kind of brewed to a point where, because of social media and because of all this demand for the record, it's become taboo. It's become this thing. It's bigger than it should be. It's you know what I mean? It's become this crazy thing. The new System record. Is it happening? way too crazy, bro. Like everyone is a little weird because like Darren will post scars and they'll rip him up about the new record. Serge will post something political, they'll rip him up about the new record. John does something, where's the new record? I'm posting North Kingsley, where's the new record? I'm posting Cannabis, where's the new record? It's like, it's always there now. It became this thing that's like, we're like, fuck this, you know, fuck the, you know, it's going to make me say fuck the new record because there's so much, you know, but you know what? The flip side is we should be fucking honored that people still care and want the new record. You know what I mean?
Right. That's sort of this added pressure is the fact that you haven't released an album so long. So it's so highly anticipated. You know, everyone feels very strongly about not disappointing the public. I mean, is that part of it?
I don't think so because I feel like we got some shit, bro. I don't think we'll disappoint anybody, you know? I really have faith in all our songwriting abilities and what we could do in the studio together. It's really, you know, I mean, if we just do it the way we know how to do it and we don't switch up the way we do it, then I think we'll be fine. I think it's just that some members might want to switch it up at this point, and when you switch it up after all this time, it might not work. You know, it's my personal opinion. Who knows? Is
there a process you'd have to sift through the well of song ideas that have built up?
It's crazy, the process, bro. Everyone kind of throws it in the pot, and like, you know, Darren's got so much material. Serge had a bunch of songs that he had brought in, and it's just a matter of taste and a matter of what should be. You know, the way we used to do it is we used to all bring songs in, put them all, make them all happen, work on them together, work on them separately, bring them in, record them all, and then the four of us, our manager and Rick, would vote on each song without anyone knowing who voted. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, you know, it would be democratic as fuck. And that way, the songs that were A made the record, the songs that were B could be on the record, the songs that C waited for another record or waited or just went away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the process. If we can take that process and go, we'd be fucking making records every year.
Are those like riffs or more like fully fledged songs?
Well developed afterwards. Like for Toxicity, we had 33 songs. And we recorded all 33, listened to them, and then voted on the 13 or 14 that went on Toxicity. And then there was Steal This Album was the other songs that we redid and made it Steal.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. I just know, like, even personally, like my phone recordings just build up so fast. I don't even end up looking at my old ideas.
I'm with you. I have that in I was about to go through mine after this podcast.
Yeah.
What I have in there, dude. There's so much stuff that is put in there that you forget, you know?
Yeah. It's always so fun to come up with new stuff. But then you think, I probably have really cool stuff I've already written. It's just buried.
Yeah, that's the case. I do this thing with my phone. I started doing it a couple of years ago where when I grab a guitar, I just press record on the video section and I just record riffs. Everything that comes out of me, I recorded. Then I would cut them up, and like the good ones stayed. The old ones, the ones I didn't like after listening to it twice, would get deleted. And I still have those folders, just, you know. And I was doing it for System. I was like, anything that resembled System of a Down vibe that we could take and put into a song, I would just keep. And I've just kept them all. I still have them all. None of them have been used yet, you know? So
yeah. Is it pretty clear now if you make up something, whether it would go in the System folder or the North Kingsley?
Pretty much. I kind of know because I know how the other guys write. Like I know Darren and I know Serge, I know John. So it's like I'd say there's a certain amount that would go to them, and I think they would make that those riffs together shine and be what they need to be. And then there's a certain vibe I've been bringing to North Kingsley that is really, really working at the moment. Yeah, I would know for sure. Hence, I haven't used any of the System stuff with North Kingsley. You know, like Serge says, like, oh, I wrote these songs for System, and since that didn't happen, I'm going to release this album. Well, it's not this. I'm keeping those. I'm just holding on to this. There's more shit coming out of my head that I can give to North Kingsley that
gotcha.
There's no lack of materials.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm not using what I made for System on North Kingsley, not at all.
Can you name 3 albums that have most influenced you?
I would go through 100.
Yeah.
I did something the other day where I had some albums written down. I was doing my favorite albums of all time. Yeah, I'll go through a bunch, okay? I'll go through a bunch. I have it here. So Compton's in the House by NWA.
Okay.
Rain and Blood.
Slayer.
Yeah. Walk Among Us, Misfits. Bleach, Nirvana. Arise from Sepultura. 36 Chambers from Wu-Tang. Vulgar Display of Power. I mean, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Oh, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. That Public Enemy record fucked me up when I listened to that like on repeat. And I'll end it with Revolver from the Beatles.
That's great. You had this list accessible, it sounds like.
It was on my phone notes because I had.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I did this one feature for a magazine where they were like, name us the 10 records that like you started with listening to in the past that made a change in your life. And these are ones that when I got those records and when I discovered, I should say, those records, something happened in my head where it was like, fuck, dude, I was touched by them. And there's more, but those ones really touched me.
So we know you're an Ernie Ball string player. What gauge are you using?
The last few times I switched around, I was using, so I would go for, dude, you guys have done some great shit for me. Some experimental shit. I remember we gold plated some of my strings. So I would take a 5-string set. I played 4 strings. So I would take a 5-string set, use the low string for my C string. So I'd tune it. So instead of tuning it down.
Your E goes to a C?
So my E goes to a C. So now I would use a B string and I would tune it up to a C. Know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
The B string on a 5-string. So I would use that for a C string. So I would tune it up to a C. So it was a tighter than it was. So I would we have to intonate the bass all the time, re-intonate because it's just really tight.
That's a big 4th string.
Yeah, dude. So and then I would use 3-2-1 for 3-2-1, but I would leave the 4th string out of the 5-string set. So that was how I did it for a while. So then I was thinking, the time I used to play a lot with Wu-Tang. I toured with Wu-Tang for a bunch, playing bass for them. And I didn't even make it news. I just did it, you know, and then whoever whoever saw it, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of was in this whole rap game thing. And so I asked you guys if you could dip because I know gold is a really soft metal, right? So gold-plated strings, I used to use gold-plated strings, actual gold, and it would make the sound so fucking warm. So every time I played with Wu-Tang, first of all, I look badass. I had gold strings, right? And secondly, and I was using your bongo bass too at the time on stage with Wu-Tang. Yeah. And I would use those gold-plated strings, bro. And then you know who I gave my last bass to was Jizza's little son, Justice. He was learning how to play the bass, and he was really inspired by me, and he was on tour. Yeah. So it was the last day of the tour, and I took it off my neck, off stage, and I handed it to the kid. He cried. He had tears in his eyes. It's so beautiful.
Oh, good to hear.
He probably still has it, I hope, you know.
All right. Well, Shavo Odadjian, thanks for being on the podcast.
Man, thank you for having me, man. This was good. It went down memory lane.
Thanks for tuning in to Striking a Chord, an Ernie Ball podcast. Be on the lookout for new North Kingsley songs. And if you like the podcast, why not give it a kind review on your favorite podcast app? If you'd like to contact us, please email strikingachord@ernieball.com.
I'm a collaborator. I'm not like the solo artist that sits there and like, oh, let me write the riff, let me write the vocals. Even though I can hold notes and I can totally do background and I can maybe sing even. That's not my forte, bro. It's not something that comes natural to me. What comes natural is what I want to do. And I think that's what North Kingsley is. It's like the stuff that I don't do, they do really well. So it's really a way of me being able to like put that into the package, you know?